Hello, everyone. I think I will just show another perspective here on Flutter because I'm not speaking about mobile, I'm not speaking about fine tuning, native, and other things. I'm speaking here about interesting topic. And for that specific topic, I've created an application which looks ugly because it's supposed to look ugly, but it should behave nice. So imagine the situation. Imagine the situation. You have a customer who said, we need a mobile application for iOS and Android. And you're like, okay, Flutter works. Flutter works. You made application, customer excited. And they're like, let's deliver it to web. You're like, okay, we can compile it for web with slight adjustment and we can deliver it to web. And then customer says, let's have it for TV. And now we're at the situation we never touched TV. I mean, from the perspective of software development, but we definitely need to deliver because one code base, it could deliver application to different platforms. That's what Flutter is made for, right? So we are starting with a mobile application. Pretty simple, like application we've seen around. It's like Netflix or YouTube. We have a lot of movies. I'm not going to show any images here. But yeah, movies, it's scrollable vertically, it's scrollable horizontally. We can open some information. That's pretty it. Mobile works. We have fingers for that. And then we are compiling and running this application for TV. Which direction? This one. It's not exactly what we would love to see or what we can deliver to the TV, but it is what it is. It's the same one code base. One bad thing, we don't have touchscreens, we don't have trackpads, we don't have anything on TV. TV works with this simple tool. I mean, looks like this. Yeah, it's kind of dummy remote, but anyway. This is TV application we are getting straight away. What we can do with this? Let's try. I don't think we can do much because standard components are not made for this. Standard components or even your custom design system is not made for TV. What we will do, we will start adjusting. Let me just use, yeah, dark theme is fine. Let me use TV navigation. At least we can work with remote. Now we can move a bit around and try to adjust this or try to use this application. Let's go back home. Looks ugly. Something works, at least it moves somewhere. And we can even try to open it. Yeah, it works, but it's not perfect. Let's go back to settings and let's adjust some stuff. Let's first, I think I will adjust a few things straight away. So we can see that now the focused item or the item we are on is highlighted, so it's different. It's still ugly because it's too big. Going back to settings and adjusting number of items per row, I think to 7, and I will adjust the text scale because for you it should be visible. Here we go, going back to home. Now it looks more or less usable, but still not perfect. What's going on? I have no idea. UX is super crap, let's say so. Yeah, it's not predictable. I see where I am. I can try to open the application or movie, let's say, but behavior is unpredictable. I'm clicking right, I'm going down. I'm clicking down, I'm jumping over the rail. Let's go back to the settings. I have a button for that. So here we are in settings. Where we are in settings? Here we are in settings. Let's use custom traversal policy. And in the end, I will also enable TV layout. A few things. Let's see how different it is right now. I will just adjust a few things. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Just because we had really nice tricks before, or we did something with this scrolling, that's why it looks different. But right now we can see the content. We can scroll it. We can scroll all the way to the right and we won't jump to top or bottom. We can go down and we will be on the first item. We will jump to the first item again, so we won't jump over the tile or jump over the rail. And it works. It works predictably. Yeah, we won't jump to the next or whatever. So now UX is predictable. now user can use this application. And that's where we will start from. A little bit of disclaimer. This talk is made for entertainment and educational purposes. So UI is bad. You've seen that. UX should be good. There is no style. There is no similar approaches all over the code base. If you will scan QR code and you will like to see the code, there is like a lot of different things tried just for the sake of showing how to do that, but not for the sake of making amazing application. It's not going to be released. Yeah. And a bit about myself. My name is Vadym Pinchuk. I'm speaking here as software development consultant in my own company, and I'm a Flutter GD, as well as I have my own visit card, let's say so, and this visit card is available by this QR code. Let's move to the stuff. That's how it should look like. So this is TV application, let's say YouTube or Netflix, whatever. So on top you have a preview, on bottom you have all the rails with all the possible movies. While scrolling through them, you will see the preview and then you can open the detail view. What should we care about here? First thing is focus. Focus will be mentioned a lot of times today because it's used everywhere. It's going to be focus, focus node, focus traversal policy, focus scope node, focus scope, focus manager, something else, I don't know, a lot. So focus will be everywhere. Why we should care about? Because focus is kind of a cursor for our keyboard or for remote. Also, focus enables application to be accessible for users who use assistive technologies like joysticks or something else. And with focus or using focus, we can build 10-foot experiences. So that's the beginning. Though Flutter enables us to build applications for different platforms, it's not always going that easy way because you've seen like application on mobile looks fine, but on TV or web on desktop, it won't look amazing. That's why we need to have some platform specific or user experience aware widgets or places. So on the right, you can see the code sample. It's kind of imaginary code sample, but you might see it in the code base a lot. This code sample shows how we can differentiate UI as well as UX based on the user experience we expect. So is it mobile or web or TV? Also, we will have a lot of conditional things like, is experience TV? Yeah, then do that stuff. And also, it's a good way to separate UI and UX, as well as good way to test what we need to test for different experiences. So that's what we can expect. But this is only pre-configuration for our next slides. Same thing happens to the theming, sorry, because in theming, we need to be a bit more responsive. Screens are different, TV screen is different, so taking into account size of the device for TV is something must have. That's why I've explained or displayed here a different, like in rail data.dart, I've displayed a different number of tiles we need to use for TV and for mobile. For mobile, it's 2. For TV, it's like 8, 9, 7, something like that. And navigation. Probably you've seen in the beginning I used bottom navigation bar because it's mobile thing. And then I switched to the side menu. Side menu is a bit more maybe intuitive, a bit better from the perspective of navigation with remote. Also, it doesn't take the whole width of the screen. It takes just one line on the side, and then it's expanded when needed. Bottom nav bars are created for thumbs or for touch, for pointers, and the side menu is created for remotes. And finally, it's a 10-foot experience. Why it is so? I've learned this term because 10-foot experience is like a distance between user and device. So definitely we won't be able to touch it in like distance is 10 foot or 3 meters around that. We need to lean back. We need to see what's on the screen. We won't be able to focus on icons, on really big text, on really small fonts. We need to make application really usable from the distance of 3 meters. And that's the beginning. Here we go. Focus again. The core component here is focus, and we will go through all the core components here just to explain what to use, how, and where. The most important thing, probably, the atom, is focus node. We're not really using focus node directly, but it's a change notifier under the hood, so the data class. It's not connected to widgets. It's a thing which can be focused, which know the bug label, which can notify when it is focused or unfocused, but on its own, it doesn't work. We need a special thing for it. And this thing is focus. Again, focus. Focus is a widget. Focus is like a manager of the focus node. It can create focus node, or we can provide focus node if needed, but like most of the time we are relying on the provided focus node. Focus widget is a manager. As I said, it attach the touch focus node from the tree. It also listens to callbacks, and it also provides these callbacks to the outer users or outer world. And kind of, we can work with application providing these two things. So wrapping our widget with focus could potentially work because we have default configurations, and these default configurations are pretty good in most cases. Most cases, I mean vertical list. But when we want to work with something like grid, it's not really cool. So focus and focus node is a good basic combination. What kind of callbacks we can have? When we have onFocus change callback, so widget became focused or became unfocused, we can display the stuff. So we can show to the user where they are. Until it's visible, we can't say it is focused or not. So kind of mandatory criteria to have it visually displayed. And this callback is pretty simple. You are not really limited to colors. You're not limited to frames. You can do whatever you want. You can transform widget. You can transform stuff, opacity, scale, color, whatever you want. And just to make it usable, of course, not to make person suffer. And cool thing. So this widget, this device is under the hood is just keyboard. Yeah, it's keyboard from here as well. But this is just a simple keyboard. It has all the arrows up, down, right, left, and kind of enter button in the middle. That's what users are relying on working with TVs. There are two ways to work with them. There is a direct way. We can listen to keyboards or to key enters on the focused widget. Or we can do it in a more nicer way, working with actions and intents. Depends on your situation. You can choose one or another. You can mix them. It's not mandatory to use any of them or like mandatory to use only one approach or another. You can mix, and that's what I have in my code. I'm mixing for the different purposes. But I think we will check both of them right now. The simple way is super straightforward. On key event is a callback provided by a focus widget. Or there are other widgets which under the hood have a focus widget, like a keyboard listener. I think some callback shortcuts, they also have a focus widget under the hood. What they do, key event is intercepted by focused widget only. So it's not intercepted by any other widget. So you can be sure when widget is in focus, whatever tile, let's say, this key event will be triggered on it. Let's return back. So this one is currently focused. Yeah, you can see it. And right now we are triggering enter button, and we are opening the tail widget, or we are opening the tail view. It's open only or triggered only on the focused widget. That's simple way, straightforward. You can do whatever you want. Though we are not really interested in key up event, because when key is released, like we shouldn't do anything. But when key pressed, that's what we are interested in. That's why we are ignoring some, and some of them are handled in the code sample. But there is also a smart way to do that. There is like a separation of what we're doing. from how we are doing. What we are doing, we have to have quite a few things. Key intent is what? So we are able to trigger intent from our focus node and send it somewhere, like whatever. Enter button, we want to open details. What are we gonna do with this? We entering and opening the detail. How are we gonna do that? That's a different thing. That's action for that. Action is made for that, and for handling actions, we have actions widget. It's kind of pretty simple, but in more details, I will show here. So that's a detailed view. Let's imagine reverse 3. I don't know like how you will accept it, but focused widget on the bottom or top. This one. This one is focused widget, tile, whatever. On it, we are triggering key button, or we are pressing the button, and it creates intent. So for example, for enter button, we want to have detailed view opening intent. This intent, sorry, my bad. We are pressing key button, and this key is intercepted by the shortcut. Sorry, my bad. And shortcuts is actually something we have by default, but we also can define our own shortcuts. And these shortcuts are available on the application level, or you can declare your own shortcuts on any other level. These shortcuts actually mapping your key to the intent. That's true. Now it's correct. And intent returned back to the focused widget, and focused widget doesn't do anything with it. Surprise. It's just like, it's super dumb. It should just intercept the key thing. It just pops it down all the way up to the nearest action widget. An action widget is responsible for mapping intent to the real action. So when we say like our intent is to open detail view, action widget know how to do that. And it actually opens the view. So that's pretty straightforward and maybe nice, more scalable way to handle key presses. That's how we do in few cases, but not everywhere. And probably for simple things like this, I think I've used here a focus debugger. Yeah, we can do callback shortcuts. Callback shortcuts is like you press button, just do the stuff. It's a widget, another wrapper who has a focus widget under the hood. You will find a lot of specific widgets who do that, who can do that. Oh, yeah, overflow happens to me as well. Just because it's real application and it's debug, not release, that's why. But when we want to have all-in-one, there is a specific widget which is called focus action detector, or yeah, focus action detector, focusable. It's a beast which under the hood has all the things. It has mouse region for web, it has focus for TV and web as well, it has actions and shortcuts. So just configure it and you will see all the things inside. On the right, it's a code sample from the real widget. So it's not made by me, but it's from a Flutter framework. And order really matters. Focus mouse region could be probably swapped, but action and shortcuts should be always higher, and actions should be higher than focus. That's pretty pretty cool. If you want to use it, if you don't really think about web, you can ditch the mouse region, or you can get inspiration from this widget for your own custom widgets and build widgets for your TV. Found overflow finally. But this thing wouldn't work. This thing wouldn't work on its own, of course. There is a bigger picture, there is a super boss, I don't know, like we have all these soldiers, focus and focus action detector and focus node. We have all of them, but this thing wouldn't work without someone on top, definitely. But how it works before that, so how we get it before this focus super boss. Maybe you've heard about 3 trees, maybe 4 trees. I've heard about 5 so far. Maybe there are more. But for semantics, we build a tree. for widgets, for elements, and for render objects, and for semantics, the fourth one. We also build a tree for focus nodes. And these things are like built the same way. So not all the widgets are focusable. We can kind of skip. For example, text is not focusable until you wrap it with a focus. Then it will have focus node. So branches are focus scope nodes. They shouldn't really intercept and catch the focus, but they can get it and deliver it to the leaves. And leaves are focus nodes. For example, your text input field, for example, your button, for example, even image if you wrap it in a focus widget. So that's how the focus system works. It's still the same tree. Traversal is the same. Whenever you want to get a focus, for example, on the second button, all the focus scope nodes, like root, form, all of them will be in a focus tree. So they will be highlighted as kind of focus, but they won't hold a primary focus for that. This tree is simple, but it's really hard to see it. That's why there are stuff like debugging focus. And this focus debugger is just dumping the stuff in the terminal, not always obvious, and debugging is super massive. Imagine your real application. This debug tree could be like, I don't know, a lot. And this a lot of lines could be somehow displayed. But the most important thing you can see on top, primary focus is held by the focus node with the bug label. Please use the bug labels because that's how you can at least understand where you are. And the focus tree is the bug label and it holds the primary focus. All of the rest are in focus path. So focus scope nodes, they are in a focus path. Let's do that. So this is the focus tree and it is focused right now. How we can see it? I think I have this combination here. Oh yeah, that's the thing which is highlighting our focused widget. This debugger right now displays who is on primary focus, number 1, and then who else is in the focus tree, so number 2, 3, and 4. I think I'm speaking louder now. Yeah, I will disable it because it's not super... Yeah, we can still navigate and see the stuff, but I will disable it. I have this debugger. I mean, it's borrowed, yeah, because disclaimer is like something is borrowed, something is made by myself, something is inspired by someone else. So it is borrowed and it is in the code base, so you can find it if you will scan the QR code. But this focus tree is cool for us, we can see. And then on top we have the guy. This guy is the super boss, at least we can say so far. Focus manager is the guy who sees the whole screen. He has the whole viewport. Based on that, it builds the whole focus tree. It sorts the stuff, I mean focus nodes, and it tries to traverse it. And it works. If you have simple list view, it will be pretty obvious. Reading order is from top to bottom, from left to right. That's how you can actually understand how it sorts. But it not always works because we don't always need to have the whole viewport to be highlighted or to be traversed. So far, this guy is cool. It takes, as I said, like we can access it from the instance. It's static. It is a singleton on top of everything. It's everywhere. We can request focus on specific thing, like on specific node, but it's not always what I would suggest to do. I mean, requesting focus on specific node is not our job. It's its job or his job, their job. Anyway, we can also add listeners to listen for some stuff in any place. At least that's what we do in Focus Debugger, but not in production-ready code. And Focus Manager is cool and smart, but not smart enough for it to understand what we want in our application. That's why we can say it's a big guy. It's a super boss, but not always. I removed pointer. Pointer I can't remove with remote. So, yeah, there is something bigger, and this something bigger is called focus traversal policy. It could be crazy. because like, yeah, who could be higher than manager? Manager is the most important guy, but no, not really. We need to control our application. That's where policies are coming: groups, scope nodes, and scopes. And that's what this chapter will be about. I will try not to be boring. The thing is, we can manually handle our focus. We have all the focus nodes. As I said, that's the most important thing. And depending on the button presses, we can manually request focus on one or another, release focus. That's what we can do. In some specific cases, it could work. But again, it's not scalable and it doesn't work for the whole application. Now we are coming to at least somehow useful information. We can split the screen to focus zones. Imagining back our application, it's like all the content rails on the right and a menu on the left. We have two zones now. First zone is menu, navigation scope or navigation zone. It's pretty straightforward, it's vertical, so no specific manipulations needed there, from top to bottom, easy. And on the right, we have content. We have rails, which are scrollable horizontally, and we have the whole thing vertically scrollable. It's a lot of content, and that's where probably somehow more customized policy could be used. The good thing, between these zones, you can switch easily manually. So left zone and right zone. One is focused, another is not. And when clicking on the right, you are focusing on the content. Clicking on the left, you're focusing on the navigation. That's super simple. Manually handled. But as I said, focus scope nodes needed for that. It's the same focus node, but it's called focus scope node. And the difference is these guys shouldn't keep the focus. So whenever we say like request focus on focus scope node, it takes the focus and deliver it to the child. So it doesn't keep the focus. Of course, the same analog as focus node and focus, we have a focus scope widget for that. And this focus scope widget have an overflow again. This widget is needed to wrap our zones or to scope our focuses or focus widgets in a specific zone. So for example, navigation or content zone. Pretty simple, same approach. Now we can also group them for traversal in a specific separate thing, which is called focus traversal group. Another widget. But this widget is not that useful, so it doesn't work without specific policy. It's just a step towards better management in the traverse management or focus management. It's not that interesting from the perspective of investigation the focus traversal group itself, but about policy is the most interesting thing. Policy defines how we can traverse widgets in this group. Imagine rail. Rail is horizontally scrollable thing. It can be a focus traversal group. There we have a lot of tiles. Tiles is a separate movie item. This tile could be focused like completely randomly. For example, pressing on the right, we can jump over one tile. Pressing on the left, we can jump to the left over two tiles. It's unpredictable. It's not desired to have in the application, but it's doable. And this logic is defined in the focus traversal policy. For the sake of that, I've displayed a bit of code here from methods we need to implement from focus traversal policy. So methods are sort descendants, actually all the focus nodes which are in this group. How do you sort this? It's up to you. Then indirection. Indirection is the method which is triggered by the buttons. So left, right, or bottom is actually direction. Which node you will pick is completely up to you as well. And then find first focus in direction is the method I would rather skip, omit. Default reading order traversal policy, that's what we've seen in the beginning. So I was jumping over. I've displayed arrows here. So this is kind of the way to navigate. And you can't be sure which way it will go. It will go up or down. It might be remembered. It won't go up anymore because it was there, but it will go down. The thing is, standard traversal policy reading order is from top to bottom, from left to right. Left is here for you. It doesn't work because it jumps over rails. It's navigating somewhere unpredictable because it was sorted this way by the manager. That's why it's not always the case. That's how we can actually navigate with it. You are not really expecting it to be there, but it is there, and then you're going there, and it goes in a different direction. So finally, we are coming to the final part, to customization. Because here we have our application, it's focusable, it's traversable, it's navigable, but it's madness, like on the previous image. What should we do? Reading order traversal policy works for simple columns, like for lists, because it's super obvious, or like for one rail, it works. It goes from left to right. For a column, it works from top to bottom. But when we have grids, or when we have vertical scrollable with lots of horizontal scrollables, it's a madness. And that's why we need our own custom policy. And I've created here pretty simple thing. I've displayed only one method I have. So in direction. In direction for me is the most important. We have 4 directions: down, up, left, right. How to navigate there? Cool thing, we know the coordinates. Coordinates like X, Y, I mean. We know all the rectangles. So each tile has a rectangle, coordinates as well. And we know which direction we want to go. So if we want to go to the right, we just need to choose the tile to the right. We don't need to choose any other. We don't need to consider any other. This is actually the traversal policy I have in the application in this specific presentation part of the application. When we are going all the way to the right, we are not jumping anywhere until we want to go down. And when we are going down, we are not going to the last tile because it will start scrolling. It's something not really desirable. We are going to the first tile. And it's always the same. When we are going up, it also goes to the first tile. It's also the same. It's predictable, it's usable, and not confusable, at least. How to do the navigation? I've picked only one sample here. Find first in previous row, I guess it goes to the up. Yeah, so when we are clicking up, it just tries to sort out all the tiles we don't need. It could be a simpler method. I decided to have some comments here. So the thing is, we are trying to sort out all the tiles below because we don't need them. We are going up. We are trying to sort out all the tiles in the row and picking only the next row and taking only the first tile fully visible in that row. So we're not going to the tile which is partially visible. We're going to the fully visible tile in the row. In this sense, you can see that I'm not really worried about sorting. How many tiles you can have on the screen? Like, let's say 100. Every time you click to top, you might need, or top, right, bottom, you might need to sort these hundreds, or actually sort out all the not needed and sort maybe like 10 tiles on the screen. So it's not super expensive. We are not really sorting all the tiles on the screen. We are not sorting all the focus nodes on the screen. Only one row. And then based on that, taking only one tile. So we have 4 methods for different directions. And these 4 methods clearly, understandably for developer and then understandably for users, describing where we are going. Or, if you still remember that one, you can take a focus scope and you can get a focus scope, focus traversal group and make a focus scope traversal group, if you really want. I would leave that to those who are really keen to dig and make their own focus system, because it could be a powerful tool for you, because you will scope the whole branch, you know that, and it will group only those tiles you need to navigate. And focus scope traversal group or something like that, focus traversal scope group, whatever you will call it, will be useful, super easy, understandable for user perspective and from the developer perspective, and will define your own focus traversal system. So you won't really rely on manager at all. And takeaways. If you can focus, that's cool. If you can manage that focus, it's even better. So focus is really a foundational thing. We should definitely care about it. It's not only for TVs, it's also for accessibility. Try to think in scopes. Every application, in the end, has different zones. Like, it's always menu, it's always content, it's always up bar. They can have different navigation and traverse policies, traverse approaches, and it will make your life easier because you don't need to think about all the things on the screen. That's where policy is superpower, and policy implementation is also easy because you just have 4 methods for all the guys in groups. 4 methods to go up, down, left, and right. In some specific cases, like for example, in navigation, you don't need left and right because you're going just down and right, up. That's it. When you're going right, you're going to a different scope with a different policy, with different paradigms, different logic. And don't forget to polish. I was confused because it could be perceived as Polish people, but no, it's about polishing your UI. If it is not visible, it's not focusable from the user perspective, because we are perceiving the stuff with our eyes. If it is not visible, it's not focusable, and if it is not focusable, it's not usable at all. That's what I wanted to share with you. And if you haven't, but you still want to take the code, there is the last item in this QR code. Thank you.